No longer do you have to feel hunted, stalked, or assaulted. ArtisticMinistry.net is pleased to present a program for victims of gang stalking. We'll provide info on websites, books, articles, YouTube channels, and podcasts to help you understand what you're dealing with and how and where to get help. Arm yourself with knowledge.
Shalom, everybody. This is Sapori Breen, the Artistic Ministries Editor-in-Chief, wearing all hats. And I just wanted to do a commentary on this particular episode for Arm Yourselves with Knowledge, just because the book in and of itself was really good, and it was just packed with so much that I wasn't able to put in the actual episode, because I understand that for a lot of people, when they're on YouTube, they're skimming around, hopping here, hopping there, and a lot of times there is not a lot of interest in watching a video that's 40 minutes long, 50 minutes long, an hour long, especially when you're just kind of like flipping through. And videos that are between 2 to 7 to 10 minutes are the ones that, speaking for myself, I know I'll click on those a lot quicker than I will on something that's really longer. Apologize for that. Hopefully I'll be able to edit that out. Okay, so first of all, let me just get out of the way what I've always done. So let me just do this right now. Where I stay at, there is the walls are really paper thin, and it's early enough in the morning that there are people around, and it's a colorful neighborhood with a lot of beautiful everyday people, as I like to call us. And so I apologize in advance for any loud music. I apologize for my cell phone. Any banging or just, whatever noise that you might hear. These walls are paper thin, so you're liable to hear anything. And so I apologize for that in advance. And today is the Sabbath for many of us. And so the actual construction site that they're usually working on there's no one there today. So I don't think that there's going to be a problem with any machinery or, their microphones or megaphones or whatever going off. But still, the building that I live in, it is located down the street and around the corner from a fire station. So at any time, don't be surprised if you hear sirens and such. So again, I apologize for that in advance. Let's see, and with that out of the way, let's see, I told myself that I was going to take my time on this one. And I'm going to just share my my opinions, my feelings around this particular book, and everything that it brought up for me, because there was a lot there, and I didn't want to put all of it in the actual episode, because the episodes, I just want them to be I want them to be quick. I want them to be just clear and concise, so that someone can just listen to it or watch it, get the information, and go. And if they want to go deeper into it, then that's what the commentary is for. And I won't do this on all of the books that I do the reviews on, but just the ones that really kind of stand out for me. And this particular one, it really did. It's the first book that I'm aware of that literally deals with, that talks about witch stalking. And I know that there's a lot of people who are aware that that the satanic attacks are one of the protocols, one of the tactics that perpetrators will use. But it's kind of like I said, it's in the actual episode. It seems to be kind of like it's not really talked about as much. There's a lot more emphasis put on the direct energy being weapons. There's a lot more emphasis put on just some of the gaslighting, the color coding, the brightening. But that one tends to, so far at least that I've noticed, the actual witch stalking element is not really something that's really covered. And so Paladin actually, mentions it. And at first when I started to read the book at the very beginning, and she started talking about the EM frequencies and the radio frequencies, I thought it was going to be that type of a book. And while I know that is definitely something that's going on, and I've experienced, my what I suspect is my fair share of it, I don't have any knowledge or understanding of that the technological aspect of what it is that they're doing. I just know that for a while there, it hasn't happened recently, but a lot of times when I will be on one side of the unit that I stay in, it's really hot, and I'd be literally sweating, taking off, clothes, and I have the units here in this building have a like one of those old-fashioned steam heaters. And there are times when literally I would check the heater to see if the heater was on. And there were weird occurrences with that, where sometimes there would be heat emanating from the actual heater itself, but I had already turned the knob to off. So how that was happening, I don't know. But there were times when it would be really, really hot in that area of my unit, and the heater wasn't on. And so literally, or I'm just sweating, and it was happening enough. Literally, someone was trying to tell me that I was in menopause, and I'm thinking, menopause on one side of the room, on one side of my unit? How is that possible? So I can I think that what was going on was that, I had a couple of neighbors who I think were part of what I was dealing with. There were too many instances, or instances or incidents, where there was some synchronicity going on, and just some of the noise campaigns with a couple of them. And I noticed that when things happened and they ended up leaving just for whatever reason, this reason or that reason, and a lot of that stopped. And so I think that it was associated with them. And but I think one of the things was that I don't know how they did it, what type of apparatus they were given, who gave it to them, how they taught them to use it. But I think one of the things that they were doing was definitely directing some type of energy at the wall on that side of my unit. Because again, whenever I was over there, I would definitely the heat would just be sometimes just unbearable. It was really bad. But that's my experience with that type of energy beamed weapons. It's limited to that. But a lot of the other protocols and stuff, definitely I've been dealing with those a lot more. And so when I started reading Paladin's work and she was talking about that, I thought that's what it was really going to be dealing with. But then she, if you get it, again, it's only 52 pages, and you can get it online very easily through Amazon, through, as it says in the actual episode, just some of the different online stores there. It's attainable, it really is. But she talks about being in Northern California, north of the San Francisco Bay Area, and just the things that were going on. And she started mentioning the SRA and how the residential facility that she worked at, and she made the connection between the EM frequencies and the actions, the behavior of some of the people in the residential facility that she worked at. And that was that's not the first time that I had heard that. I've heard, she mentions Russ Dizdar. She talks about the Black Awakening and these individuals who he has also said that he believes that they are going to be, that for us, to the average person walking around, we see them as maybe being, mentally disturbed. We see them as being just maybe, whacked out on drugs. But when they start to talk about some of the crazy things that they're talking about, if you have this knowledge or this background in that field, then you can, as she says, she became aware that what these were individuals who were victims of satanic ritual abuse. These were individuals who many of them were implanted. They had implants. They were just things that I had never even contemplated. And yet I know that some of the people that will color code me, some of the people that will do come up and start the whistling and the coughing, these are individuals, complete strangers. And sometimes there's the idea that that they have been recruited by someone to do that, and that's I do believe that that's very true. But also, what she is talking about here is these are individuals who are, because of the implants, because of just the way they have been just destroyed, just broken down, and made prone to be open to the influence of these interdimensional beings. They are able to, just not even understanding why, they're just under complete demonic control. And some of them, as she was saying, maybe even just this outright demonic possession, where they can come up and say some things and they probably wouldn't even know why it is that they're doing that. And that's getting into that kind of that hive mind thing, which I'm really not all that familiar with that. But so reading through that part, that was very interesting, and it was very informative. And again, as I said, it might be a bit unbelievable for someone who is not tuned into or has any understanding about the supernatural. And as I said, I think that sometimes they prefer that it be that way, that we be ignorant of the supernatural and focus more on the tangible, more provable things, where the supernatural is really hard to pinpoint, is hard to prove, and that she was able to do so, finding those EMF frequencies and making the connection between, having those frequencies beamed at that building, at that particular room where the staff, where they spent the night, and getting the connection between that and the dreams and the paranormal activity, and just the comments that some of these supposedly schizophrenic residents were saying. She was able to clue into that, but the majority of people do not. And again, it's and that is in keeping with what was said by I believe the song was written by King David. It's I mentioned it in the first part of the premiere episode, Psalm 64. So I'm going to turn that real quick now. But yes, it is. It's a Psalm of David, where he makes the observation that they encourage themselves in an evil manner. This is Psalm 64, verse 5. They encourage themselves in an evil manner. They commune in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, "Who shall see them?" So, in the idea of an individual as being a snare, and the idea of a person who has been subjected to horrific, horrible trauma and abuse, where the personality has been split, where they have just been just flooded with, as she says, these frequencies, where they have implants put in them, and now they are under the control and influence of these interdimensional beings. The idea that is possible, for many of us, it's unbelievable. So there are people who can actually be a snare. The way I introduced the idea of a snare in the protocols of gang-stalking, that actual episode, was looking at the actions of some people, that when they're doing the color coding, that could be a snare. But it's something that, if you're not clued into these different random people walking by someone or walking by a particular store, and they just happen to have on each of them happens to have on a random article of clothing or a purse or something that's the same color, and the majority of the people walking by won't notice it. Looking at that as a snare, or someone who is driving up behind people and flicking on their brights at night as a snare, or during the day having their headlights on, or maybe there's only one headlight working. To see that as a snare, most people don't clue into that. That's how I was using it. But now, after having read her book, I realized that there are individuals who, because of the things that they have been subjected to, and been recruited into and forced to participate and be a part of this hive mind, this what I think Disdar and them refer to as these satanic super soldiers. These individuals, they themselves are a snare that can be placed in the path of a victim of gang stalking. And who's going to pay attention to them? They're going to think, well, that person's just crazy. It's too bad they're really messing with that lady at the bus stop. But wow, that guy's just crazy. He's really on drugs. They really need to do something about the drugs that are out on the streets today. And that's all that they'll see. That's what they'll go away with. And that individual is a snare also. And again. David makes it clear, he says that they commune and they say, who's going to see this? Who's going to really notice? And when you do try to talk to people about this, they're not going to take it serious unless they have an understanding or some background in supernatural witchcraft belief systems, or at least be aware that it's going on. Most people won't notice it. And then when you try to tell them that, again, it's like being met with the same reaction, the same skepticism that we are subjected to when we try to speak to people about being color-coded, when we try to speak to people about the air surveillance, or excuse me, I apologize for that. They can't understand it, they can't relate to it, and that's why it's what they're doing is very effective in how it can be isolating. And but that's okay, because as I mentioned in this episode, we've reached that point in the history of this earth age where we are in these latter days and the Messiah's prophecy is coming true. Now, there's nothing that has been hidden that is not going to be brought into the light, and that includes these protocols of gang-stalking, witch-stalking that they're doing to us. There are those of us now, we are of a generation where we are talking about these things. We are finding ways to document, to prove, to be able to present to people who are willing to listen to us, and literally show this is what they're doing. And I am just very pleased with, and I raise my hat to those individuals who have done things like putting the cameras in the back of the some of them will put them in the corner of the windshield in the front of the car or in the back, and literally turn it on and just leave it on and just film these people who are literally coming up behind them and throwing on their brights, or who are coming up and swerving around them and cutting them off, and literally being able to show and prove this is what's going on. I'm not exaggerating this. I'm not imagining this. I'm not making this up trying to get attention. This is what's happening. See the footage? And just those small things is what is making it possible for the rest of them that are out there, our friends, our family, neighbors, co-workers who are not aware of this, to really see this and go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I did notice that is happening. And like, for example, with me, with the footage that I put in the video for A Letter to a TI, where I was literally just, I had my camera out with me that day, but I was literally just taking pictures and filming some of the graffiti and the street art that was being done. And at one point I just saw the cars just going by, and I just finally just turned the camera and just filmed it. And it's there for all the world to see. And if someone wants to see that and still try and excuse that, or brush it away or whatever, they're able, they can do that. That's fine. But I know, and that those of you who are listening to this, watching this commentary, that what it is that we deal with. And so therefore those who don't want to believe, or who want to somehow just still want to turn it into, not see it for what it is, that's fine. Let them do that. That's fine. But what I wanted to really talk about in this commentary were those parts that I wasn't able to during the episode, because I want those episodes to be as brief as possible. And I apologize that one was actually 20 minutes. It was still long, because there was so much that I just wanted to say, to really be able to get across what it was that she had endured, and how it empowered her, and how she was able to then be able to, again, have the wherewithal to write a book and to talk about it and to give encouragement. And I just wanted to just say more about that, because I really felt that while I was doing it, I really felt that there was more that I wanted to say, and I decided, like in the middle of working on it, I'm going to do a commentary. This is one of them where I am going to do a commentary, just to share some more. And so basically one of the the important points that I wanted to get across very early in this is that with all that Paladin was using to thwart and protect herself, meaning she talks about different things that you can do in terms of dealing with these EM frequencies and the radio frequencies. What it really came back down to in the end was basic weapons that Messianic TIs or Messianic believers refer to as spiritual warfare. That in the end it came back to that. Yes, you have the technology and you have the meters where you can gauge this and you can track this and find the smart meters and track the the wiring underground and everything, and that's all fine and dandy, but in the end it comes down to what we call spiritual warfare, and she talks about it in this book, and she talks about prayer. She talks about avoiding sin. And again, as I mentioned, she apologized for those non-religious TIs who might read her book, how for some of them that kind of puts them off when you use that terminology. But she didn't excuse it away. She held her ground. She said, I apologize if you have a problem with these words, but I don't know any other words to use. This is what you got to do. You got to get rid of that stuff, because in the end, I think that maybe there is a way, there is some terminology that can be used that maybe someone who is someone who is an atheist can still understand what it is that she's saying, and I can get into that in another video at another time, because I do have opinions on that, because I'm telling you, one of the greatest strategies. It's a saying that's been around. I don't even know who it is attributed to, but basically the saying goes, the greatest trick the devil ever did was to convince the world that he doesn't exist. And I've seen it, I've heard it in movies, and it's just been bannered about. Everyone, many people are familiar with it. But when you stop and you think about that and you see how effective it is, it goes right in, it's almost hand in hand with the verse that I just read in Psalm 64, where they literally, this counsel of the wicked, where they literally say about the snares that they lay, about the things that they do, the tactics, the protocols that they do, who shall see them? So think about this. You have an entity, a supernatural entity, who is all these different titles that he goes by, for those of us who are aware of this. But he's convinced the majority of the world that he doesn't exist, that this isn't real, that this is just in the mind of these Christians, or it's just their belief, but that doesn't make it real. And therefore, this entity, call him what you want, Satan, Lucifer, whatever, however you want to refer to him, but that works for him, because if you don't know about something, then you can't defend yourself against it. And yet at the same time, something that I was thinking about is this. Simply because I know this is kind of an intense analogy, but hopefully it'll make sense. Just because a toddler doesn't know that sticking a fork in an electrical outlet can shock him and maybe even possibly even kill him, just because he doesn't know that, does that mean it's not going to work? It's not going to happen? We know that it will happen. We know that even though this toddler may have this fork in his hand and see the outlet and has no clue about electricity, has no clue about that the metal is a conduit, is a conductor, has no knowledge of that whatsoever, if that toddler sticks the fork in the outlet, he's still going to suffer the repercussions of it, whether he knows it or not. Just because a toddler doesn't know that the handle hanging over the counter that he's able to reach up and grab, has no knowledge that it's the handle to a pot that has scalding hot water in it, and doesn't know that if he grabs it, that it's going to pull down and pour on him, does that mean that it's not going to happen? Of course, we know it's going to happen. We know that they can reach up and grab it and it's going to pull down, and maybe the pot itself can come down and hit them also. But just because they don't know, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. These individuals who don't believe in the supernatural can still be affected by it. The only difference is they don't know what's affecting them. And it's something that is, if you can understand what I'm saying, that's why that saying says the greatest trick that the devil ever did, it's the greatest trick, was to convince the world he doesn't exist, because he's able to operate and do all these vicious, horrible things and destroy lives, destroy generations, destroy entire lineages and families for centuries. And they're not even aware what it's really about. They don't understand why it's happening. They don't understand that the mental illness that is connected to their family, or the addiction that's connected to their family, or the poverty. The grandfather was poor, their great-great-grandfather was dirt poor, and so forth and so on. They don't get it, that this is an entity of poverty that is following that bloodline. It's an entity of mental illness. They don't understand that, because why? Because they don't believe it's real. Oh, these devils, these demons, that's what those Christians do. Oh, let them think what they want to think. It's just the way it is. It's just the politics. It's just the economy. No, dude, it's not. But because they don't know, they can't have effective weapons to deal with it. When we have a coworker or someone and we see, now that we're tuned in and we get it, when something is happening to them, car keeps breaking down. Now they got passed over for the promotion. Their girlfriend or boyfriend of 3 years just dumped them. This is happening. We could tell them, well, chances are someone has raised an evil altar, and they've gotten hold of your DNA, and they are directing negative, evil forces, evil energy at you via that DNA that's on that altar. They don't want to accept that, and yet that's the truth of it. And so I respect Paladin for being able to combine these two, to talk about the frequencies, to talk about the technology. But at the end of the day, when all is said and done, she comes back to the way you really need to deal with this. You need the spiritual warfare. You need to be able to pray. You need to be able to get rid of sin out of your life, because that's what these entities cling to. And I really appreciated that, and I wanted to be able to say that, but I didn't want to go off like I am now during the episode, because I want the episodes to just be really just clear, concise, in a very informative, neutral way for someone to be able to just watch the video, get the information, and go. And then they can find out on their own as they're reading the book the other things. But I still wanted to comment on them, and so again, that's why I'm doing the commentary. And that was one of the most important parts. It's the chapters that are towards the back of the book, where she just really gives a lot of information. And so I definitely encourage you to really read through this, to get a hold of this book and read it. Definitely check out the last few chapters in this book, where she gives the solutions and such. And I mean the whole book. I'm not trying to downplay getting the meters to gauge or to track the electromagnetic frequencies. I'm not downplaying any of that part. But at the end of the day, the solution to all of that, when you find that and you confirm that is happening, at the end of the day, the solution is what she talks about in these last few chapters in the book. And she gives a quote, and I'm going to I didn't put it in the episode, but I'm going to read it now. And this is something that she says here. This is on there's two quotes. One is on page 9 and one is on page 10. So let me see here. Page 10. Okay. Black magic employs a partnership between the practitioners and demonic alien entities we cannot see in another dimension. The black magicians give the entities something they want, such as a sacrifice, and in turn, the entities will work behind the scenes to get the black magicians what they want, as long as it is in line with the plans of, quote, the god of this world, Lucifer. The demonic entities do this by feeding the elite ideas and strategies, and by psychically influencing the minds of unwitting people. This might seem like a good idea to some, a fast track to fame, fortune, and success. But the demonic alien entities have a reputation for deceit, and in the end, those who invoke evil for personal gain become enslaved to the devil in this life and the next. Okay, that was a very astute observation, and I'm glad that she shared that. And I think that it's something that shouldn't be taken lightly. And those of us who are Messianic TIs, we understand the truthfulness of what she has shared. And one of the things that I wanted to do, there are a few other points that I wanted to make pertaining to that. But let me say another important part. Another weapon that she didn't mention, and I've mentioned it before, and I've done actual videos on this, and at this point I know some of you are probably going to turn off the video, and that's fine. But another important weapon that she mentions that she does not mention is forgiveness. And that is because if you think about it, there is a burden and a heaviness when you carry that type of bitterness and anger towards individuals. It's justified, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying because you forgive these people that somehow your feelings, your experiences aren't real and they're not worthy, they're not worth talking about. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that carrying that around is a weight. It's the equivalent, for me, I think that it's the equivalent of yet another yoke. And she makes an observation again in the back of this book, and the section is called, she says, another very important thing to do, disconnect all of your buttons. Quote, they want to hurt your feelings, make you mad, make you get self-righteous, make you react. Don't. Just smile to yourself. You know what the game is and you don't play it. You don't play games. Okay, there it is. When you hold on to that, type of energy, these entities, they want that works for them. And so forgiveness is important because there's nothing there for them to cling to. And I think it's interesting that she's making this connection between these individuals and energy. And these different frequencies, the electromagnetic frequencies and the radio frequencies. And she also makes the point of the importance of getting sin out of your life. And let me read that to you because it's very interesting that she comes up with that as a solution to a problem is sin. I mean, how interesting. Because I've seen some videos where people talk about the like you see here, the tinfoil hats, using the aluminum foil. The people have the what do they call them? The the Faraday cages. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but all these different things that they can do, and yet in the end, something as simple as getting sin out of your life, praying. It's very interesting that she comes up with that as through her own experiences, that when she was able to do that it freed up a lot from her. And here's the quote. This is on page 41. With our free will, we must willingly make the right choices in our lives. We must avoid poor choices of friends, careers, and entertainment, and especially choices that traditionally are regarded as sin. If you have an anti-religion prejudice against the word sin, I apologize, but I don't know a better word, and it pretty much describes what they are trying to get you to do. You must clear your life, mind, and spirit of anything perverse or addictive. Okay, think about that for just a second. These entities, they need, from what she's saying here throughout this book, that they were able to manifest in that facility that she worked at because there was a increased amount of radio waves radio frequencies and electromagnetic frequencies. And at the same time, she mentions sin. Is it possible that sin, that these actions that we do, that they also generate some type of energy also that is subtle to us, but is clearly these entities can pick up on it, so much so that if it's present in our lives, they can use that to cling to? Isn't that interesting? And I think that the word that she's using throughout this book, frequency, energy, electromagnetic, radio, we're calling it, she's using these technological words for it, but I can't help but wonder if, maybe we could try another word, and that word might be spirit. When we talk about spirit, well, then those are the words that people want to avoid, because it moves into religion. It moves into where a lot of people have issues around this religion and that religion, where they've been hurt or they've been betrayed or whatever, and so they don't want to go there. They don't even want to use the words. They don't even want to use the terminology. And she's trying to do this, and I appreciate her for doing that. And yet, again, she comes back to that for all of these frequencies that are out there, that she was able to pick up on with the different meters that she had, and the smart meters and all this stuff that's out there. But in the end, getting rid of, as she puts it, these bad choices and these, as she said, clear your life, mind, and spirit of anything perverse or addictive. That clearly it has to be able, these actions, these thoughts, they clearly must be generating some type of an energy, some type of a frequency on some level in our aura, that these interdimensional beings, as she refers to them, that they're able to pick up on. If that's not so, then why would she put it in this book? Why would she make an emphasis of, she puts a paragraph on it, okay? So clearly there has to be a connection, and she's not the only one when we go into the scriptures, literally. And that's another weapon that she doesn't mention, which is the word, but the word of the Most High. But if you look in the book of, if I can find this real quick here, in the book of James, it's either James or Hebrews, let me see, where it speaks about the word of the Most High, where it says that it is, it says, here we go, if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. The idea that this energy can be removed from us. Okay, can I use the word energy? Is that okay? Because she's been using it in this book. At the beginning of the book, she's talking about these frequencies. She's talking about you being able to gauge them with meters, that you can go to Amazon and you can purchase a Gauss meter. It's spelled Gauss, a Gauss meter. That you can get a radio meter and you can actually track and find where they're at in a building, where they're at in a room, and where she was saying you'll find them clustered around maybe your fuse box. You'll find them wherever there's a lot of like electronic equipment and such, you'll find it. So it's obviously, as refined as it is, you can get a meter and you can find it. And yet when we talk about sin, well, that's something so different. Some people don't even want to include it within the same conversation. But she is doing this, and she's saying that clear up this sin. So clearly, why don't we stop using the word sin and use the word energy? Clear that energy up out of your life. And here it says in this verse right here that the Most High is able to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And the scriptures use the word unrighteousness, but here in this book, the chapter is called What to Do About It, and it's on page 41. she uses the phrase, you must clear your life, mind, and spirit of anything perverse or addictive. Okay, so clearly these types of actions and activities, they must create some type of an energy that these entities are able to pick up on and cling to, and then use that to piggyback and manifest in our lives. There it is. I can't make it any clearer. And so I just wanted to point that out. And I wanted to, there's another verse, and I think it's in Hebrews. I'm going to see if I can find it, where she speaks about where they say that Hebrews is attributed to Paul, that Paul wrote it, and there are some that say that he didn't. I don't know, but whoever the author is, there is an observation that is made about the word of the Most High that's made about the scriptures, and I'm going to see if I can find it here real quick. In terms of, here it is right here. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 12. For the word of Elohim is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Okay, so this verse says that through the word of the Most High, that you can use it to, quote, the dividing asunder of soul and spirit. Again, maybe if we change that and use the word energy, to the dividing asunder of soul and energy. Let's try another word. To the dividing asunder of soul and frequencies. Right? Aren't those all in the same pool of synonyms? Energy, frequencies, electromagnetic, radio. She's putting sin in that entire group, in that entire concept of technology. She's putting it there. She's saying, get this out of your life. Get it out of your life. You must clear your life, mind, and spirit of anything perverse or addictive. Why? Because it must generate some type of a frequency that these entities can pick up on and cling to. And here we have in this book of Hebrews where the author is saying, and you can use the word of the Most High to separate it, to literally shave it off of your soul. You can use the word of the Most High to do it. And I believe that I shared in one of my most recent videos an experience that I had of demonic attack while I was asleep, but I fell asleep with a recording of the scriptures was on, and in the dream this dark something was wrapping around me, was wrestling me, and I was trying to get it off me, lifting my arms and just trying to shake it off, and I couldn't get it off. And I could hear, because I was clearly in between being asleep and being awake, but I could hear the scriptures, and I started to literally repeat the verses it was in the book of Psalms, whatever the verses were. Just as an example, let me just turn to the book of Psalms. I can't remember what verse it was or what psalm it was, but literally I could hear the scriptures being quoted. And so while I was trying to literally just in the stream was wrestling and moving and trying to lift my arms, and this thing would wrap around my arm and so that I couldn't lift it up, but then I started to hear this voice reciting the Psalms. And if it said, blessed is he that considereth the poor, I literally would say in my mind, blessed is he that considereth the poor. Yahuwah will deliver him in time of trouble. Yahuwah will deliver him in time of trouble. I literally started to focus my mind and literally repeat what I was hearing. That thing was gone. It was gone. Just like that. It was gone. There was nothing, no Hollywood sound effects, nothing, no nothing big. It was just 1 minute it was there wrestling and holding me and binding me, and I started mentally just literally repeating the words from one of the Psalms that I was hearing, and that it was gone just like that. Gone just like that. That entity, literally, some type of an energy, some type of a force was on me, and literally it was gone when I just mentally started repeating the Psalms. And I'm sure there are many of you that have had similar experiences. I know I'm not the only one. I had an experience where I was literally praying. And something had happened to me, and I came home and I started to pray. And in my prayer, one of the things that I do is I pray the scriptures, and I literally opened up the scriptures and I started to read a passage of verses, and all of a sudden, back to back, like 2 or 3 times in a row, I sneezed. I mean, and like 2 or 3 sneezes in a row, like, and I knew the Spirit told me an entity had just left. Literally, that's what the sneezes were, was this entity leaving. And anyone who's ever listened to any of or watched the videos, especially the older videos of Brother Chris LaSalle, he talks about how demons will leave through sneezes, they'll leave through coughing, they'll leave through tears, they'll leave through mucus when you're crying and you're praying and you're blowing your nose. They will leave through those fluids. They will leave when you pass gas. That's a nice polite way of saying when you fart. I mean, they will leave, because in the end it's air. We know that the spirit, the same word that's used for spirit in Hebrew, in the classical Hebrew that the Bible is written in, the word that's used for spirit is the same word that's used for air. But this is how they'll leave. It's not, sometimes I think we have in our mind's eye what we've seen in some of these Hollywood movies, the Exorcism, just the different movies that are out there where it's got to be some grandiose supernatural, where the body's lifting up off the bed and just all that stuff. That's the theatrics to make it to put that entertainment value in a movie. But it doesn't happen. It doesn't have to happen that way. My own deliverance, I've never had anything like that happen. But I have, literally more than one time, just a lot of sneezing. It's just a lot of crying and a lot of just literally blowing my nose, and literally feeling a relief afterwards, and literally having it confirmed through the Holy Spirit that an entity had just left, that a demon had just left, and literally Brother Chris literally saying that they will leave through tears, they will leave through saliva, they will leave through sweat, they will leave through coughs, they will leave through sneezes. This is one of the ways that they can leave. Okay, and it would be interesting if it would be possible for someone to invent some type of a meter to track that. Wouldn't that be interesting? But yeah, I just wanted to just point that out, that the word of the Most High is also a weapon that can be used in this spiritual warfare, and we don't have to go. I mean, yeah, it's on a technological level. It really is. It helps if you need that confirmation to find where these areas are, this energy, where it's coming in from, and to be able to avoid those areas on your house, on your property, or somehow shield them. I mean, I'm not putting down that part of her book and what she's talking about. Not by any way, shape, or form am I trying to downplay that. But I'm saying that, I'm just looking at the back of the book, the chapters that she talked about there, which I wasn't able to get to in the actual episode, but I wanted to do the commentary on, to speak on them, because I think that they are noteworthy, and need to be talked about, especially for this ministry, where one of the missions is to be a source of information and inspiration and support for victims of gang-stalking targeting. And so, yeah, I decided that I'm going to do a commentary, and I'm going to talk about these parts of her book that were just as valid and just as important. And again, just because it stood out in my mind that that she would even mention these, that she would, at the end of the day, she's saying that we need prayer, that we need to get sin. Okay, and again, she was saying she wasn't sure of another word to come up with to use, because she didn't want to put off any atheists, any anti-religious people who, victims of gang stalking, who might read her book. And I'm thinking perhaps another word that could be used might be negative energy. Because that's literally what sin is. It's a form of energy, but it is, and it must be. If these entities are drawn to frequencies, and you're saying that you need to get sin out of your life, then that means that somehow that sin, those actions, those thoughts, they must be creating some type of energy that these beings are able to cling to. They're able to detect, they're able to pick up on and piggyback on and use it to cling to someone's aura and manifest. So there has to be energy connected with that action. And we know that thoughts are a form of energy. We know that light is a form of energy. So clearly, sin has to be a form of energy also. And so basically what she's saying is, if you don't want these interdimensional beings coming into your life and clinging in your aura and manifesting in the forms of poverty, in the forms of horrible, horrific nightmares, in the forms of illnesses, in the forms of doubt, destruction of your relationships, getting you into car wrecks, getting you into like extreme fear and paranoia and nightmare. If you don't want that to happen, one of the things that you need to do is to not sin, to clear up all the sin. Clearly, because sin must be an energy that they can pick up on. It must generate some subtle level of energy that they pick up on, that they can cling to, and use that to manifest. Boom. Okay. She also mentions prayer. Prayer, she says, I will define as focused attention and intention, for the sake of readers who, once again, have anti-religious prejudices. But once again, it pretty much describes what you need to do. Set aside religious controversy for a moment and consider the theory. You, the human soul, are made in God's image. And the Bible, verse Luke 10:19, quote, and he said to them, I was watching Satan fall from heaven like lightning. Behold, I have given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing will injure you. Nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, but rejoice that your names are recorded in heaven. Author's note: Satan fall from heaven like lightning. Could that describe a UFO? We as human beings belong in this realm, not them. Okay, so prayer. I'm just going to continue something else that she says that I didn't include in the episode, but you can find it on. It's in this same chapter. It's in the section on. Let's see if I can find it here. On page, that quote that I just read to you, that was on page 41. But you can also find it. She mentions it again on page 44. One thing I have found very helpful is focusing prayer and intention from the heart. Literally feel the thoughts and prayers coming from the center of your chest, rather than as words in your head. The energy of the human heart is our strength and produces the most profound effects. Bringing your energy down from your spinning thoughts to be centered at the heart will give you a sense of peace and strength. This heart-centered energy repels the demonic and alien. When you pray from the heart, always pray for the human soul and against the demonic alien. Something like, quote, I pray to liberate the human souls of the perps who are enslaved and wish for freedom. I pray for the defeat of the enemy. Send all demonic and dark alien spirits out of this realm. Defeat their purpose. Bring light to the world. The book Prayer on Fire by Fred Hartley can give you some pointers and techniques. Once again, if you are not religious, keep an open mind and glean what you can from the book as far as directing energy and intention. Okay, there it is again. There it is again. Prayer, just at the beginning one more time. One thing I have found very helpful is focusing prayer and intention from the heart. Literally feel the thoughts and prayers coming from the center of your chest rather than as words in your head. The energy of the human heart is our strength and produces the most profound effects. Okay, so clearly, again, she is in this book. She does it at the very beginning. She's talking about these electromagnetic frequencies, these radio frequencies, and now here in this chapter, in talking about ways to literally thwart this, she has mentioned sin, and she's now talking about prayer, and she's talking about prayer in conjunction with energy. Clearly, would it be safe to theorize that prayer generates some form of energy, some frequency as well? A frequency that is pure enough and strong enough that it repels these entities? This is clearly what she's saying. This is clearly what she's saying. Literally, let's read it one more time. The energy of the human heart is our strength and produces the most profound effects. Check that out. It produces the most profound effects. Bringing your energy down from your spinning thoughts to be centered at the heart will give you a sense of peace and strength. This heart-centered energy repels the demonic and alien. Wow. Check that out. That's literally what she's saying. So just as I was saying how sin must generate some subtle form of energy that these interdimensional beings, who we as Messianics would refer to as demons or fallen spirits or foul spirits, they can pick up on that, they can cling to it, and then manifest in our lives. Well, now, here, she's saying that the heart, that prayers and thoughts coming from the heart, that heart energy, that it will produce a profound effect, and one of the profound effects is that it will repel demonic and alien. It repels them. The energy, that energy coming from there repels them. They don't like it. So again, yeah, you've got your technology that you can use to find this energy, these frequencies. Yeah, you've got some aluminum foil, some this and some that you can cover the energy. But literally, prayer will repel it. And I'm just going to share this verse. It just came to me just now. See if I can find this real quick, because it's something that I've definitely. It's amazing that what she comes away with. The solutions that she comes away with are, it's just interesting. Here we go, right here. This is in the book of Matthew, chapter 11. The Messiah says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." My yoke is easy. His yoke is easy. We don't need any degrees in engineering and dealing with frequencies or any of that. Radio technology, we don't need that. Prayer, how easy can it be? Prayer. All you have to do is pray. Pray from the heart. As she says, bring your energy down from your spinning thoughts and bring it into your heart. Literally bring it there. Just slow down when you're praying, because you're not on anyone's time clock. You're not on anyone's schedule when you're praying. No one might even, chances are you'll be alone. There's no one with you. And just slow down. Focus on your heart, the rise and fall of your chest. Put all of your energy there, and then start to pray. That's what she's saying to do, to come from there. And she's saying that energy will repel the demonic and the alien energy. Something as simple as prayer. That's all. Isn't that amazing? That is just amazing. You don't need any degrees. You don't need a gun or a laser rifle. Okay? You don't need a whole bunch of people around you. Just you in prayer. Being sincere. That's all. Again, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Again, as I've said, in prayer I have experienced that. And I know some of you have too. And I hope that maybe there's someone listening to this who hasn't experienced this. And what I can do is encourage you to try. Because in the end, what do you have to lose? What? A couple of minutes? What, 10 minutes? Is that okay? To waste 10 minutes trying to pray? No one's going to be there. You don't have to tell anybody if it didn't work. You don't have to tell anybody if it does work. I mean, but see, that's the thing with that. That's the trick, because then it becomes good news. Because you've got some good news. You've discovered something. You've discovered a weapon. And hey, it's hard to keep good news to yourself. So you might truly want to go out and tell somebody. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now that would throw a wrench in the playbook, the strategy that your perpetrators are using against you. What? She found out how to pray? He found out, now he's praying, now he's telling people? Oh, we gotta deal with this. I mean, that might create a problem for him. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay if they let them have a couple of problems, okay? They're giving us problems left, right, front, and center. Let them have a problem. Let them have a problem with the fact that you now know how to pray, that you have found out a weapon that they cannot take from you, and that is prayer. Wow. And now you have another one, and sin, getting rid of sin. And how hard is that? Again, he says, my yoke is easy. Think about that. And just go back, in case you don't understand what is a sin. What might that be? Maybe that sounded a bit confusing when she was saying, you must clear your life, mind, and spirit of anything perverse or addictive. Well, let's break that down. Let's keep it real simple. Just go back to the Ten Commandments. Okay? And think about that. Okay, not gonna steal, not gonna kill, not gonna lie, not gonna have sex outside of marriage. Okay, I'm not going to covet and just look at what my neighbor has and want what my neighbor has, to the point that I'm like trying to figure out how to get it. Okay, how to sneak up on them and befriend them just so I can get whatever article it is, whatever item they have. Okay, that's 5. Okay, I've covered 5 of them. What? Going to keep the day of rest. Oh, a day where all I have to do is just lay in bed and sleep. Oh my gosh. Maybe turn on some music. Maybe watch a couple of videos on a YouTube site, maybe, or some online ministry. That yoke can get no easier. To just have a day where you don't do anything but just rest. Just rest. Prepare your food the day before. I keep the Friday, Saturday Sabbath. That's the one that I keep. So around Friday afternoon, clean up the house, make sure I have some clothes ready for the next day, prepare my food, get everything all ready. I've already gone to the store and done my errands. And then for me, it's when the sun starts to set, right when it starts to get dark. Start with a prayer, and then that's it. It's me horizontal. Maybe I got the remote control. I don't know, it depends. Or maybe I got the scriptures or whatever, but I'm resting. Okay? Just sleeping, just chilling. Okay, again, Matthew chapter 11, verse 30. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. How much easier can it get? And that's the 6th commandment. Rest. Just rest for a day. That's it. That's the 6th thing. Okay. And then what? And what are the other ones? What does he say? Don't take the name of the Most High in vain. Don't make images of other deities. That's 7. That's 8. Okay. And then he says, and don't worship other deities. I mean, okay, that's 9. Okay. And what might 10 be? Oh, 10. Okay, now. Think about this one. It's the only one that has a promise connected to it. And that is, honor your mother and your father. Okay? Wow. Again, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What does he say? Honor your mother and your father that your days will be long upon the earth. I'm paraphrasing that a little. But there it is. That's right there. Okay, again. What did she say? You must clear your life, mind, and spirit of anything perverse or addictive. And I'm saying, if you do those 10 things, if you can do those 10 things consistently on a regular basis, there should be nothing perverse going on in your life. There should be nothing addictive going on in your life. I mean, right there, just start with that, and then add on to from that, giving to the poor. If you have done some sins, repent of those. Add on to it. You understand what I'm saying? But basically, this is the easiest solution to dealing with this. It gets no easier than this. And like I said, if you have nightmares at night, if you really worry about being satanically attacked at night, where you wake up and you feel pressure and heaviness, something sitting on your chest, where you wake up gasping like something your breath was just being taken from you, that is where you get a recording of the scriptures, and you just turn it on, maybe not too loud, not too low, and have it playing while you go to sleep. There it is. There's different channels where it's offered on YouTube videos where they've got literally the entire Bible, audio Bible. You just turn it on and go to sleep. Trust me. In the realm of the spirit, in that realm, that interdimensional realm where these entities roam, the word of the Most High is like a sword of flaming fire, literally. And there's one minister that talks about that a lot. I'm going to try to put a link, if I can find put a link to his, either some of his videos or at least to his YouTube channel, where you can listen to his videos where he talks a lot about dreams. He talks about witchcraft and how to thwart it, and being witchcraft proof. But this is a lot easier to deal with than they would have us believe. They want us in a place of fear and confusion, and they want us to think that these weapons, that they're not real, and they want you focusing on these, these aliens and the power that they have. Excuse me, I apologize. And even fearful of the demonic, as if somehow they've got more power. But we know in the scriptures it says very clearly, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Greater is he that is in you. And when you start to keep those 10 commandments, you're going to feel the spirit of the Messiah enter your life. And he's greater than all of them. And even in your weakness, even when you feel, I don't know anything about any of this stuff what she's talking about, she must be out of her mind. It's okay. It's okay. One of the things that he says is that my grace, that his strength is manifested through weaknesses. Because I'm so weak. Look at me. I'm nothing. I don't have any martial art degrees. I don't have any weaponry. I'm a sharpshooter. I don't have any military experience. I like mixed martial arts. I like the idea of being able to fight like Angela Overhill, but I can't. I'm not. So how is it that I'm able to? I should be dead. I should have been dead many, many, many years ago during many different instances, but I'm not. Why? Because the Most High, because His grace is sufficient and it is manifested through our weakness. Because when you look at someone like me who is still alive, you have no choice but to say, well, it has to be her mighty one. It has to be Elohim, because it sure ain't got nothing to do with her, because she ain't nothing. She ain't got nothing. She can't do nothing. I mean, then how is it that she's still here, that she's able to do this? It has to be the Most High, and that is how He is manifested. He's manifested through our weaknesses, through your weakness. You don't know a lot. You're maybe just thinking about giving this a try. Gonna have to go out and even find a Bible. Okay, but find one, go online and get one, and start to read and start to check some of this out and quietly pray. And again, bring your thoughts down to your heart and literally just spend some time breathing and just getting that energy there and coming from that place. Just try this. Just try it. What do you have to lose? And who's gonna know? Okay, that's what these perpetrators, they don't want us to know these things. They want us to think that we have to go through all these barrels and hoops, but we don't have to. And that's what she's found out. That's what Paladin has found out. And that's what I have for this book is in the arsenal. This is a book that I recommend, as I definitely give it full endorsement. To be a choice of weaponry in this war that is not of flesh and blood. To use this, to read through this parts that I just read to you, they were from the chapter called What to Do About It, starting at page 41. So I wanted to do this commentary, and I wanted to say all this, and there's still more, and I hope that there's a little bit that I have said. I know I've been talking for a while, but there's even more that I want to say and that I'm going to try to say. But in the end, get a hold of this book. You can get it through Amazon. You can get it through Google Books. You can get it through Abe's books. I mean, I mentioned them in the episode where you can find them online, and I'm sure a few other places, Barnes and Nobles. I mean, they're there, and just read through it, because the purpose of this ministry, at least one of the purposes, is to be a source where targeted individuals can go, and you can come here and you can find some resources, some information to help you out. And you'll have to put it to the test, It's not going to, it might not be, you might not have all your problems solved just with watching one video or checking out one web page, But if you put it to the test, you will. And one of the first things I encourage you to do is to develop a relationship with the Most High. Because as it says here in this quote, you are on the front lines. Whether you like it or not, you are on the front lines. What are you going to do about it? Okay, step up to the plate. Try these things, because the yoke is easy. The solution is easy. He says, my yoke. Think about what a yoke is. A yoke is something that sits on your shoulder and it moves you. Whether you want it, it just moves you. It directs you where to go. And he's saying, my yoke is easy. He says, and my burden is light. Okay, and you can use that in two ways. One meaning light, meaning not heavy, but light meaning literal light that shines in spiritual darkness, that can pierce through the confusion. But that's what he's saying, and that's what this ministry is trying to do, is to give you that type of weaponry, that type of just resources. And I hope that has happened, and I hope that you will continue checking out these episodes, and please give this video a thumbs up. Give it a pass it on to friends. Let them know about it. It's just a commentary. I know it's a long one, but this is this day of rest, and this has been very, very peaceful for me to do this, to share this. And yeah, I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything else. Okay. Again, you can see here on the screen. Again, these are places where you can purchase this online. And I'm gonna guess. I mean, I'm not sure about this, but you might even be able to find it, a PDF maybe online somewhere. I mean, that happens a lot too. I don't know who does that. Maybe, I don't know if Paladin herself, if she did it, but you might even be able to find it online, in PDF format as well. But it's only 52 pages, and that's something that you can do. Remember that one commandment to just rest. This would be something that you could read. You could just kick back, put your feet up. You know, if you don't want to be at home, you can maybe just take a casual walk somewhere, go to the park, sit down, you just read through it. But it's 52 pages, and some of what she's dealing with, she shares her whole experience. And what she's talking about, some of it, I didn't mention a lot of it because I don't. The information that she mentions about with Russ Dizdar and the super soldiers, and how basically some of these people that we are viewing as crazies they've been programmed, and that's really what they are. And they've been given the implants and such. And I don't talk about that because I don't know about that. But just read through this book and put to the test some of what she's talking about. And maybe it's time, as she mentions, to change your choice of friends. Maybe it's time to change some of the places that you hang out at. If some of these things are happening consistently in different bars that you go to, different clubs, different dance places, maybe it's time to let go of them. If these things are consistently happening to you while you're associating with certain people, maybe it's time to let go of them. If these things are happening when you're using certain drugs, when you're using certain alcohol stuff, maybe it's time to let go of that for a while. But this is what she's talking about, clearing all of this energy up out of your life. Because those substances, they create energy. They create thoughts. They get us to start thinking and doing things. And we know that our thoughts and our actions generate an energy. And clearly it's an energy that is refined, that is as subtle as it is. These interdimensional beings, they can pick up on it. And so if you don't want to be generating any type of energy like that, then maybe it's time to let go of those drinks. Maybe it's time to stop getting your smoke on. Maybe it's time to stop blowing the smoke. Maybe it's time to stop getting your drink on. Maybe it's time to let go of some of these people that have been in your life that might even be the source of some of this. They're wearing a mask of friendship, but in the end, they are not your friend. Maybe it's time to let go of them. But this is what she's talking about, to let go of that type of energy, to make changes in your life if you have a problem with being stalked. Okay? And okay. With that, I say shalom.